Yeah.
BLDR.
This is
BLDR.
this is a lumber well, they've merged with a lot of I know Builders FirstSource. They've merged with a lot of, local lumber companies. They actually have a really neat product. This is just a side note because I've actually, been looking at this. You can send them the architectural drawings of, like, a home or a tiny home or something, and they'll actually cut out all the wood so that it's pre-cut, and then they'll inkjet where each piece goes. So when you get it, it's simply a puzzle, and anybody with a nail gun can put together their home right off of the architectural drawings. You don't have to saw or anything like that. All the pieces come pre-cut, and it tells you exactly where they go, like inkjetted on each piece of wood. It's kind of cool.
That's a pretty I just pulled up a little chart there, like, it looks like it's one of their pieces. That's very cool. I was not aware that this was a thing.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many going back to our first part about inflation. The number one place where people feel inflation is when they go to the store or go to the gas pump. But there's also inflation in the job world, right? We're at almost max employment here. That means that not only does everybody who wants a job has a job, but in addition to that, people who are hiring right now, some of the different reports I've heard is that there are two jobs for every one employee. Like you can actually jump jobs and you're almost guaranteed to have another job. So that's something that the Fed is worried about as well, is that not only are prices at the retail area high, but also the inflation in the employment or in the job force is high. And that comes really into as well people who do things like build houses or do plumbers and all those trades, right? There's a big gap in there. In fact, they're dying for the last incomes I heard for somebody who picks up a hammer to build a house. I mean, it's good money. And so all of this technology companies are coming out here to figure out ways to more accurately and with fewer employees build houses and do stuff like that. It's a big market, Sip.
Yeah, so let's see what we have in terms of positions we could put on. Taking a look at
So,
the builder's first source
yeah,
chart.
chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at this thing and it is moving sideways. I mean, if I let's increase our view here. I'm going to look at 2 years. So Builder's first source has been going up over the last couple of years, and it does look like it had like a moment of like uh, burn and then pop, right? And it looks like it's kind of stalled sideways. It hasn't given us that super duper consistency that we'd like to see in order to uh, trade, reliable premium on it. But that doesn't mean we can't trade premium on it. What it means is we have to be a little bit more nimble. In other words, we're going to tighten up our trade zones around this every time we sell it so that the worst thing that happens is we get knocked out of the position at a profit. And that's kind of a good thing. So um, I'm looking at my fast MACD. I see that I got a signal to go long about April 28th, but it looked like that signal fizzled out. I've got another signal to go long forming today. And so maybe a good this is one of those ones, Sip, where I would do a hybrid trade. I would almost trade this directionally. In other words, I'd pick an option to trade directionally on this so that I'd make money uh, as it appreciates. So I would definitely number one, because it's a little bit more expensive, Mildred, I would look to find some kind of call option. And before we get too much farther, let's visit the options and see if there's options to be traded. Yes, there is. So as you can see here, we have some options that can be traded on this thing. We'll see if my cursor comes back to life. There it is. Um, we have options on both the put and the call side at different expiration dates that can be traded. So I'm glad we checked that out in advance. I would find a substitute option. a call option to buy that I would just plan on letting it appreciate off of the bottom here. And here's where the hybrid part comes in. If it goes up, say for instance, to the moon, if it goes up above $85 and keeps going, well, then it's just a directional trade. I'm just going to cash it out once it tops out. I'm going to follow all my rules around directional trading, which is like, as it accrues, I'm going to put on a trailing stop and look to be in this for the short term. But if it decides to stall out a little earlier, like around these levels of tested support, resistance, $78, or even up here at $84, if it decides to kind of turn tail on us there, I would sell some premium and buy some protection. I'd turn that directional trade into a premium trade. So I'd go in it thinking it's a directional trade, but if it stalls out early without going above $85, I'd then sell some premium on it. So I'm going to treat it kind of like both. I'll make money on the movement of the underlying symbol, but I'll also make money if it wants to give it to me on selling premium.
And is that because the consolidation isn't as,
Yeah.
refined?
That's exactly it. It's because I don't have a clear, 2 tests of support, 2 tests of resistance. It's a little bit all over the map, but we know it's stalled, but it hasn't stalled and then gotten into like a mature sideways channel. It's just
So
kind of stalled. So let's see if it, comes up off of this bottom and it creates a trade for us.